Hi friends, it's Molly with Soul School Spiritual Guidance and Healing. Thank you so much for being here with me today. It is the evening of the Capricorn full moon. I just got a reading out for my Cancers, Pisces, and Libras. And Spirit let me know that they're not really done with me yet. And that's fine because you guys, I've done readings on full moon nights before. And basically like the energy that I express, the energy that I experience is that like I am a wide open channel. I thought about going live, but it's kind of late, like it's already 10 p.m. where I'm at Central Standard Time, and I didn't really know if anybody's gonna join me, and I just thought like let's just go ahead, whatever, let's do a video and see what comes out. I do have limited space on my phone, which is good because that's just going to keep me from rambling incessantly at you guys. But I just want to say this is a general and collective reading. Like I don't have an audience for it. You will know by the title if this might be something that applies to you. And then of course, please do use your discretion before you go home with a message and claim it as your own. All right. Hit me up at the information, dare I say information below, if you guys are interested in a personal reading, if you guys want any astrological, why can't I say words, astrological analyses, or a spiritual guidance session, which basically a lot of things that I talk about on my channel about becoming your authentic self, healing emotional trauma, chakra work, dream work, stuff like that. If you guys have any specific questions about that, that's what those spiritual guidance and healing sessions are for. So hit me up. There is an intake form where you can let me know what exactly you guys are interested in, so I can maybe get some resources together for you and we can have a very, very, very productive session. So let's go ahead. What I have here is a great big combination of the Starseed Oracle and the Moonology Oracle cards. So let's see what wants to come out, what Spirit wants to talk about today. All right, you guys. Okay. This is actually very interesting because this is a revelation that I have come to in my own self. Okay, and then it came up in a conversation. Like I have a friend back home that when we get online or when we get on the phone with each other, we talk for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. We had this really, really great conversation where I shared this perspective that I think Spirit wants to talk about with these cards. And she found it to be sort of a unique perspective and a valuable one. And so I realized I hadn't really ever shared it on my channel before. It has a lot to do with unconscious patterns in the way that we sometimes present ourselves to people, okay? I talk a lot about subconscious programming, how society tells us to be a certain way, and then when that doesn't work out for us, that's when we finally begin to break everything down and realize what is the way that we truly want to be, who is it that we truly authentically are, and how do we present that to the world, okay? So sometimes, okay, this is the season Mintanka, seeing potential and bringing unconsciousness to light, okay? This is a message for those of us, and I'm going to say us because like at another point in my timeline, this is definitely something that I suffered from before I had this realization. What happens when we meet people, we present them with what we think they will find to be the most appealing versions of ourselves, rather than presenting them with what we think is the most authentic part of ourselves, the parts of ourselves that we really want to have people see and recognize and appreciate. All right, it's an unconscious pattern. It's something that we don't realize that we're doing, but we do it. All right, the next card out is because this says bringing unconsciousness to light, and so that's what Spirit really wants to talk about. Unconscious patterns we have when we present ourselves to people, okay, and not always showing people our true authentic self. Sorry, there's a bug right there. Sorry. Not always showing people our true authentic selves. This is saying show the world the real you. Because sometimes we're like, well, I do. Because we're multifaceted people. We're multifaceted beings. There's many different parts of ourselves. And when we meet people, sometimes we don't even realize that what we're doing is we're watering ourselves down. We're filtering ourselves out. We're cherry picking what we think that person is going to like most about us. And then we present that version of ourselves because, gosh darn it, it is so important that other people like us. Okay? When we go through the healing process and we peel away the layers of all the ways in which society has taught us not to love ourselves, and we finally decide that we're just going to love ourselves and identify all the different things about ourselves that we love, then it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't like those things about you. That just means that that person's not going to reflect those things back to you, okay? All of our relationships are about our relationships with ourselves, okay? So if you're in relationships with people that you cannot be yourself around, what does that reflect back onto you about your own self-image? It can't be a positive thing. Do you know what I mean? You guys know what I mean. There's certain people that when you're in their presence, you don't really get to be your true authentic self. And we can tell because it's often exhausting. To put on the facade, the version, to create, to act out the version of ourselves that we think that person wants to see, it gets exhausting. Like really quick, the older you get. That's just the truth, all right? But also it creates this echo chamber within our own mind. I don't know how else to describe it, where it's like if you tell yourself that there's this part of yourself that you don't want to be. And I'm I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, you guys. I have 139 IQ. That's like the last test, the number that I know, all right? It's near genius IQ, all right? A lot of people don't like that about me. I've had some of my very best friends say to me, you know, not everybody likes it when you talk real smart. And there was a point in time where that really, really hurt my feelings. And I think there's a long period of my life where I knew that. I knew that people don't like when I show up as my smarty pants self because they don't like how that makes them feel about them. Right? But the fact of the matter is, I'm just a big nerd. Like, I like facts. I like learning things. I like talking to people and learning things from them, right? It's just a part of myself that I like to be. But from a very young age, especially, I was realized if you want boys to like you, you're not supposed to act that smart. Stop it. There's the bugs. And so I learned how to silence that part of myself. And I found that there were other parts of myself that were very, very appealing to other people. And I would lead with those aspects of myself, okay? And often what I found was people who were only interested in those aspects of myself. So that later down the road, when I wanted to show that I'm actually like a really smart and brilliant and critically thinking person, they were like, oh, that wasn't what I signed up for. You guys see what I'm saying here? Okay? Be careful with what you lead with, all right? Because what I learned, I'm just gonna be honest, I learned to lead with sex appeal. I just learned to lead with my sexuality. And I have I'm a pretty liberated person in that sense, and that doesn't mean that I'm promiscuous. It just means that I make my own fucking rules when it comes to who gets access to my body and when and what I decide to do with it, okay? And there was a long period of when I was younger where I was like, just lead with that, because who's going to say no to that, right? Who's going to say no to that? And what you get is people who are only interested in that, okay? In fact, there's people that I've met who are amazing people. They have amazing personalities, amazing stories to share, amazing experiences, but they lead with what they think other people want to see in them, like money or status, and this is actually something that I've seen a lot. And the older I get, like when it comes to, you know, being 40 and single and occasionally kind of feeling like I maybe want to date, it's like your accomplishments are not a personality. I don't know what choir I'm preaching to. This is just the message that's coming through me right now. Okay, your accomplishments are not a personality. I don't lead with the number of degrees that I have or like what's my IQ, because that's not a personality. Lead with your personality, because you know what? That's when you find who your people truly are. Stop selling people the version of yourself that you think is most sellable. And what you'll find is people who just want to engage in an authentic exchange with you. This says you're not alone, isolation, physical connection, and community. Do you see that? If you're hiding yourself, if you're not revealing the true authentic aspects of yourself when you meet people, how are they gonna know you're their people? Or they're your people? Do you know what I mean? Don't lead with the most sellable parts of yourself, okay? For some of you guys, this is an unconscious pattern that wants to be shown at this point in time. That when you meet people, what you're doing is you're pitching. You're like, here's what I think you're gonna like best about me, and this is what I'm gonna lead with. Rather than just letting them see who you are and have an authentic reaction to that. Like, I've just been watching a lot of self-help stuff lately, you guys, and it really just talks about how, like, if you're afraid that these authentic parts of yourself are gonna scare people off, then yeah, let these authentic part of yourself scare those people off, because those are not the people for you. Okay? It's like, it's interesting. The metaphor I'm getting is like meeting somebody on Halloween and you're in a costume and they don't understand that that's not who you are the rest of your life, right? Like if you meet somebody, you're dressed up like a nurse, you're dressed up like a flight attendant. Like, oh, I just met this amazing flight attendant, and then the first time you see them and you're not in that costume, they're like, oh, wait, you're not. Right? It's just, that's the metaphor that Spirit is bringing to mind. You guys, this full moon energy is wild. I wish you could even understand like the psychic energy that I'm swimming in right now, okay? This is what I want to talk about. Lead with first of all, take the time to learn to love and appreciate your authentic self, to encounter, to find, to discover who is your true authentic self. And then peel away all the layers of society telling you not to love those parts of yourself. And then take those parts of yourself and show them to people. Be authentic. Our society has us so guarded all the time, and social media feeds us a lot. I just talked about social media a lot in my last reading, because I think that is currently one of the institutions that keeps us trapped in a negative mindset. I'm looking at you, Facebook, all right? I just said it, okay? Facebook, Instagram is kind of like this as well. You know what I mean? Like those, to the point that I don't really like posting on them anymore, because it's like, especially since I started my most recent journey, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a fun thing. I want to share it with people. And it's almost like everybody, rather than seeing what I'm really experiencing, the experience that I'm trying to share with people, what they see is their projections. We walk through life and everybody we meet is in some way, shape, or form, probably unconsciously, projecting their expectations and their belief systems onto us. And if you show up, and once you learn how to show up authentically as yourself, if people don't see you for that, it's because their projectors are dirty. Their little projector lenses, what they're doing is they're projecting onto you what they think you are. And I talk about, like, when I used to be a teacher, I used to be a high school English teacher, and people are like, oh my God, you're a high school English teacher? And then they assume that I fit the stereotype of every high school English teacher that they ever met in their life, or saw on social media, or was a role in a movie, or something like that, right? And my advice is, when you realize people are doing that, just walk away. Don't let it take your energy anymore. Understand that it's their problem, not yours. It is never your responsibility to give people what you think they want to see in you, all right? I don't know why I'm so passionate about this, you guys. Boundaries, yo. Let's talk more. These are the true love reading cards. Inner peace, yes. This is beautiful. I love where this is going. And two of them flip, but I don't really want them. What are they? What's next? What else do we have, Spirit? I feel like there might be one more because I've got 3 on the table. Yup, it popped right out. That's in men and women. It's the divine masculine, but I'm going to talk about how this energy manifests in men and women and by non-binary people. Okay? Because we got a great big solar plexus there just staring us down. All right? Boundaries. And boundaries is a very feminine energy. And what I mean by that, okay, that's a fun visual. Spirit's giving me this visual of like when you go bowling. When you go bowling, and have you ever gone bowling and you use those little like, are they inflatable? Are they water filled? But they're these little like inflatable, some like back in the day they were just rubber like bumpers, right? That keep you from going into the gutter. Like when you throw the bowling ball down the alley is what it's called. There's these little like bumpers, okay? And they're boundaries. They're there to keep you from going into the gutter, all right? You throwing the ball is the masculine act. And the bumpers saying don't go into the gutter, that's a feminine. Boundaries are a feminine thing. You guys have to understand that. It's not about male versus female. Masculine and feminine are outward and inward. They're energetic forces, okay? And we each have them both, or else we wouldn't be creators of anything, all right? It requires the polarity of receptivity and assertivity to be able to create anything, all right? That's just facts of energy, all right? Boundaries are what our feminine aspects do. We say yes or no. I'm going to receive this type of behavior or I'm not. Okay? Boundaries, I like that meme that says boundaries do not need to be like an electric fence. They can just be I will be treated sacredly. It's an attitude. And what's really, really hard is that oftentimes when we're growing up, we're not allowed to have them. We're not allowed to say, I don't like that, please stop. Especially when it comes to the way that people treat us, the way that people speak to us, the way that people reflect us back to ourselves. Okay? And so a lot of times as adults have a really hard time understanding what boundaries are. Boundaries are just saying what you're not going to do. Those bumpers are saying, I'm not going to let you go into the gutter. That's what that imagery and metaphor is all about. Okay? So boundaries is saying, I will not accept or I will not receive certain treatments. But also, like, I will not entertain, I will not exchange energy with certain patterns, people, behaviors, things like that. Okay? That's what boundaries are. And they're necessary in order for us to maintain our inner peace. I like how it's circular. It's coming in a full circle. Okay, thank you, Spirit. We'll get there. Okay? Now look at this person who is living in this state of inner peace. Unbothered. Because she's got boundaries. She's like, these are the things that I'm giving my time and my energy and my mental attention to. And there's all these things out here that I'm not. Because it's not my stuff. Like what other people want from me or expect from me, or their projections of who I'm supposed to be. And so what she's doing, this person in this card is doing, is getting to focus their attention on all the things that they are into, instead of worrying about what reactions they're going to get from other people. Just not being bothered by it, not giving energy or attention to it. And she got this little book that says, I am enough. And that's it. You know what I mean? Tend to yourself. Okay? Get your lunch. Do your work, and then entertain yourself. Enjoy yourself in your own mental space. Because when you learn to love who you are, it's really easy to do that. It's a lot easier to do that, to just enjoy your time alone and enjoy your time within. Because you can be happy with who you are. Once you learn that other people's expectations and projections of you, they're not your business. There's nothing you can do to change them. So just go ahead and focus on what you can. Okay? And I love, because what she's doing here in this space is she's imagining, she's pulling things into creation. This is the quantum field that's surrounding her. And she's like, what do I want? What kind of life do I want to live? And look, she's got the space to imagine that, to focus on that, to decide what it is that she wants to pull in. Because she's not worried about other people's stuff. Two things you can worry about. What do you want in your life, and what do you have going on that's blocking it from coming into your life? Two things you gotta worry about, that's it. Okay? Because there's the act of creation, and then sometimes our boundaries are broken. Not broken, but like we need this sense of ourselves to be healed. In order to receive what we truly want in life, we have to be determined not to receive all the other BS that we don't. Okay? Because what happens is, once she puts up these boundaries and she gets to go into this space where she has her own inner peace, that's when she can begin to create and take charge. And it's out of this, it's only after you really get to, let's talk about that. You really get to fine tune your true desires, your true will, that you can begin to act it out in the world. And I remember I had this conversation with a friend of mine about Aleister Crowley, I don't know. Because he's famous for saying, do as thou wilt is the whole of the law. And I'm all like, well, wait a second, do as thou wilt, but like, some people wilt some pretty nasty negative things and don't really care about how it affects other people. And my friend was pointing out that even like Crowley said himself that like, that's why when you learn to manifest, first you got to do your shadow work. Because if you try to go right into like attracting and manifesting things, you're going to be doing so from a place of woundedness, a place from like an unhealed ego, right? Some people are like, oh my gosh, I'm magic. I can create anything I want revenge for all of my enemies. Is that really, if you get in there and you heal yourself, is that really what your heart wants the most? Or do you want success and prosperity for yourself? So, I haven't read Crowley myself. Comment below if you have any insight on this. But basically, he's saying once you have refined your true will, once you've done your healing and you've unlocked your heart and you've learned how to listen to what it really, really wants, release all the other negativity. But once you have uncovered your true will, do as thou wilt, and that is the whole of the law. Okay? But it's very important to go through the process of filtering out any parts of ourselves that are unhealed or unprotected by our own boundaries. Okay, because once you do heal your precious, beautiful little heart, which, by the way, the seas of Mintaka, that's what this is about. Okay, the story of the seas of Mintaka, I actually don't know if that's what it is or if it's just my own past life, like astral projection experiences, make me feel like there's this planet that people go to between incarnations to heal their souls. And it's just a water planet. It's just all water. That's what it is. It's this beautiful crystal clear water. And it cleanses and heals your soul. Okay? That's where Aleister Crowley is right now. according to the law of one. That's where Hitler is right now, according to the law of one, because they're very, very powerful human beings. But when they realized their power, they were using it from an unhealed place. And so what they did was hurt people. They caused a lot of pain and trauma in the lives of other people. I don't know if that's true so much with Crowley, but I mean with Hitler. Okay. But I have past life memories of this place, of going to this place between lifetimes to be healed. And we can access that same energy in this lifetime, in this incarnation. Been through some things. You weren't in love with all the little parts of yourself, and so what you did was you led with what you thought people wanted to see from you. You can heal that. You can heal that. And you can get into touch with all the parts of you that you truly do love. And then once you do that, this is the space from which you can manifest and create anything that you desire. Okay? This is how you can show up in the world as who you truly are. That's solar plexus energy. And solar plexus to me is the seat of the divine masculine. The seat of the divine feminine is the sacral chakra, and this is the energy that we should be healing in order to properly establish boundaries. Because where do we get shame from? Where does shame come from? Experiences in which we were unable to, or didn't know, we didn't know what we needed to know in order to give ourselves permission to enforce our own boundaries, or we tried to enforce boundaries and they were overtaken by others. That's what leads to shame. When we know that we've not done our best in presenting our true authentic selves to the world, or we tried to present a self to the world that we were shamed for by others. So the sacral chakra is where we can really go within and heal those unhealed parts of ourselves, that traumatic memory. Okay? That the way in which society tells us don't be that way, then we find that we convince ourselves that that's not who we are. Okay? The sacral chakra is very much about our own personal sense of self, whereas the solar, the divine masculine, is about our social sense of self. How do we show up in the world? And I love this. This is really beautiful, because the lesson of this whole story, this whole reading, is learn to love yourself. Heal those parts of yourself where you don't feel like you can love yourself, or you've been told not to love yourself. Right? Heal that part of yourself, and that's what gives you the strength to show up in the world as you truly are. Okay? And to be able to do so with a sense of inner peace. You don't need other people's approval or validation of you, because you've got it yourself. And you've created boundaries based on that, because you know who you are and you know what you're worth. Okay? Baby dolls, we all need healing. There's not a single one of us on this planet that does not. Okay? We all deserve it. We all deserve to be able to show up in this world as our very true and authentic selves. We all do. Where do we go? Okay, I thought we were going to do the self-care cards because that would be logical, but we are going to get one last card, and it's going to come from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle. Okay? And there we have the moon on the bottom of the deck, because there's, like I said, that great big old Capricorn full moon out there. And Capricorn represents society. Set your sights higher. Set your sights higher, you guys. Sometimes the version of you that society has tried to talk you into being is a lot smaller than the you that really is. Thank you, Divine Spirits of Love and Light. Thank you so much. What else do you have for us? Do as thou wilt, yo. Find your true self. Direction, guardian. Choose your path. Choose your path. What this is saying is like, look, you have the free will to do and create and become. And look how much these images are so much like, there's the dude, there's the bird, there's the lion, okay? You have the ability to create and become anything you want to be in this world. But you got to write that script from a place of loving who you already are. Okay? If you really, really want this, if you really want to be the creator of your own reality, and I'm not just talking about, like, some people think that manifestation is all about getting rich. See my last video where I talk about Jesus, okay? I talked about Jesus a little bit, okay? If you really, really want this, you really want to be in control of your destiny, you want to be in control of the person that you show up as in this world, then you've got to learn to love the one you've got inside, the person that you are on the inside, okay? That's how you become the direction guardian. That's how you get to choose your path. I just saw 3131 on the timestamp below. All right, you guys, thanks for entertaining this really random channeled message. I'm not going to be doing an extended for this one. Just go ahead and leave me a comment below and a little like if indeed you did enjoy this message or gain something from it. And know that I love you all exactly as you freaking are. Okay? I do, and I hope to see you back on my channel again soon. Take care.